What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's going on?
Welcome to the Huddle. We come at you every Tuesday, 3 o'clock Central, or
Almost.
in today's case, 3:04 Central, to discuss maintaining forward progress in your flooring career. With me, as always, my cohorts, my partners in crime,
Pew pew.
Daniel and Jose out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Preferred Flooring up there. Go see them. Hire them if you're a contractor on here. Okay, so this week we're talking, continuing our Go Carrera conversation, which is kind of an exciting thing to share. We're always talking about it offline and hinting around during the huddles. Last week we discussed about the company side. This week we're going to discuss installer side. So I wanted to start off with, we've got probably 8 new installers on this week. And I get every installer wants to have work to do because it's a job, it's a marketplace platform. Mm-hmm. What I would encourage every installer to look at this as is your digital resume. This is the fact is you can be on Go Carrera 100% for free. Build your profile, go to trainings that we talk about, go to our training page, build your hammer rating, be third-party verified, and start to build your digital resume. This is being something that you can share regardless of whether you're doing work over the Go Carrera platform or not. It's a third-party verification of your skills and abilities. So if we start with that, and the fact is that you can set yourself apart with that. Homeowners, for example, and even general contractors, you say, I'm CFI certified. I'm sorry, I've asked probably 50 people this week that are just in the general construction world and not in our flooring bubble. They don't know what the hell it is.
Correct.
I'm sorry. I mean, no offense to CFI or anybody who's worked really hard. I love CFI and they do a great job. But outside of just our bubble, people don't know. And the ones that did, they didn't know the difference between R1, R2, C1, C2, Master. The only one that made sense to them was Master. They figured that must be pretty
That's
important.
The top level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But outside that, they didn't. Is there 3? Here's a question I was asked. Well, how many levels does it go? If you're R1 and R2, is there an R3, R4, R5, R6, R7? They don't know, so they don't know where that falls on the completion kind of schedule, or you know what I mean? Like if there's 100 certifications in your R2, it's less valuable than if it's 2 certifications in the residential world and there's 2 levels. Well, then you're at the top level of the residential certification outside of being a master certified, right? So we would have to try to get, and then you have other training entities on top of that, right? So it's not just CFI. I mean, you get certified in RDEX through, or self-leveling through the NAFCT. What does that certification mean? And part of this is because our industry will name things certification that is not a certification. I know there's plenty of things that are.
I got a call the other day here, and the lady was like, "Hello, this is," because I answered the phone. "This is Daniel with Preferred." She was like, "Daniel, are you CFI?" I was like, "Yeah, we're CFI certified." And she was like, "No, I'm looking for the company CFI because there's a local company here that named themselves Certified Flooring Installers to kind of give that illusion that everyone is certified there." And the crazy thing is that no one in there is even CFI certified.
Yeah, we might have been the
only ones. And I'll build on that even as an additional problem. So I have sent guys to get certified in NORA. Or if you look at some of the other certification, it lists the company and not the actual installer. Like that certification, I didn't do anything as the president of the company,
You
but
paid for the certification.
Right.
I know, but but I didn't earn it. I paid for them to go. And I'm not saying I shouldn't be listed as a secondary or something, but I'm just saying the way it's all portrayed, what Go Carrera does is take all this confusion and turn it into a understandable metric, 1 to 5 metric that anybody can reasonably understand. You know, the hammer rating 0 to 5, you're a 2.5 hammer, right? Now, there's still education that needs to be done around that. And frankly, you could be certified, but need some,
Fine
a
tuning.
little bit more training to really become proficient. I know that, the harder certifications that we know of, you have to be proficient to even take. But I'm talking about what outside of our bubble of knowledge that we encompass as the flooring companies in the flooring, industry. Outside of that, the people who are hiring us a lot of times may not understand that stuff. So that's the if we look at it as a digital resume that you can build, you could take a CFI training and then have an NAFCT. It doesn't lock you into one entity either. You could take all these different trainings from different places. You could do a training with MAPE direct with their MTI, and then a training at, say, NAFCT, and then a training at CFI, and all those come together and it aggregates to your hammer rating going up. Well, your CFI, when you're just in one entity, and because we don't have like a national college for flooring, right? If somebody would start that'd solve all of our problems. But like, and what I mean is not just start it, but there's a full certification apprenticeship, like technical college that is the standard before you can get into flooring or something. Now obviously the FCEF is doing some really great stuff in getting a 10-week course into the community colleges, and that's a great start. And though that's even recognized within the hammer rating for brand new people, but brand new installers that come onto the application. But think of it as like your digital resume first off, and then when it comes to some of the great benefits, so just a few notes. There are some good deals on there. You can go to your Daltile and get 10% off of all your tools and spacers and sponges and stuff like that. The code comes on your completed profile. You get you can go to partner deals there and see how to be able to redeem that. Do not be offended if at first they do not. If you're in, we did do this. One of our guys went to a Daltile in Memphis, and they were like, "We don't know nothing about this deal." And he goes, "Just please type this code into your computer, this discount code." And they did it, and they got it, and but not every single Daltile manager knows about it. But it's at the corporate level of Daltile, just so you know. But there's also tools for flooring, the tool locker. So there's some good tool discounts. That doesn't hurt. You could take advantage of that for free. You don't have to do a work order or pay any money to take advantage of those discounts. Secondly, as our member companies, you can connect with new companies through the application and maybe start working with new companies that you've never thought of. Here's the thing though, what it really does is, from an installer standpoint, it puts the power in the installer's hands. So if you get an offer from a store, whether it's a commercial dealer, or let's just say a retailer, if a work order is published and you see it, whether you get on the maps and you search maps, and I'm going to show some of that here in a minute when I share my screen. But you can find it there, or maybe you're matched. If you're in the area and a work order comes through and you have the hammer rating desired, then it will match you with that work order and let the company know that you're a match. Now, you have the ability to accept that work order as is, or decline the work order, or negotiate it. So let's say a sheet vinyl job came up in your area and you're a 3-hammer sheet vinyl guy and it's a 2-hammer job. Only the 2-hammer and above guys get matched, right? Because it's matched on that. Now maybe you're one of 3 guys that have shown interest or accepted that bid or that work order. Now it's in the company's hands to look. You can chat with the company right there, pre-award, and make your case as to why you're the correct, installer for the job.
choice,
But
yeah.
here's the key. Let's say you negotiate it and it's a work order for 100 yards of sheet vinyl at $15 a yard, plus your welding, plus your cove and all this. But just for simplicity's sake, let's say it's a $15 a yard install price for the sheet vinyl. Maybe you're a 3-hammer guy and you're like, you know what, I eat these kinds of projects for breakfast, but I want $18 a yard. Well, you just simply click the negotiate button, type in 18, and submit your negotiation. Now it's up to the company whether or not they award it to you, but you can also send them a chat and say, hey, Mr. Mr. Jose, here's the deal. I've been doing this forever. I promise you, here's the real key. I'll take care and make sure your job is done on time, or whatever their differentiator is. So there's just a lot of power in the installer's hands that they can use. And the more installers that are on the app, the higher that you're banding together digitally. And because of that, we can increase rates. But sporadic installers trying to raise their rates, that's why they've had such a hard time, is because it's not a unified voice. What happens is this installer starts trying to charge more, and he's kind of a lone wolf. Well, he tries and tries and tries, particularly if you're working with, commercial or retail dealers. If it's just you, you're probably not going to be successful in getting that raised across the entire. You might get that one job with that one guy that has known you for 20 years and you can keep your rates. But as far as working with new companies is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because you want to have the option to work with whoever you want and keep your schedule full. What makes I don't care what business you're in, doing it at capacity is where you make money, right? If you work 20 hours a week in installing, it's going to be tough to make a full-time living.
100%.
So having the option to jump on a map and look at work orders and kind of browse, at scale, that works really well. And we got to have the installers help to do all this, to join the network and be patient for us to bring companies into those areas. And we're not just bringing on, we're trying to bring on, and we have a pre-qualification process for companies, just FYI, to bring on companies who align with our values, which are the biggest value I think that Go Carrera has, is the fact that we want to improve the standard of living for our installation community.
Yeah, and then you think about it going on there, you can kind of just poking around, right? On the map, you could say, oh, in this area, they're getting around this much, and then in this area, they're getting around this much. I'd rather work over in this area, but then you can also negotiate, in that other area saying, hey, there's quite a separation here. Let's try and bridge this gap a little bit.
Yep.
You know, and I want to add to that too. Like when you were mentioning the 2-hammer rating and the 3-hammer rating, and hey, this is what I want a yard. And you're right. Like if you've proven yourself to someone, then you can stick to your guns and have your pricing that you've earned. But you know, in order to increase your network, sometimes it's okay to take a project and maybe not get what you feel matches your value, but they'll never know that unless you do some work for them. They'll never know your ability and your skill set. So, and we understand that. That's part of business altogether. You got to show them sometimes.
John Steyer says to him, it sounds like it's geared more towards commercial, tough sell for residential, but that all depends on the work orders that are on there. If there's a bunch of residential work orders on there, I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of dealers that want to be able to just go through the process of, I mean, it literally takes about, depending on the size of the job, but let's say it takes 20 minutes to create a really detailed work order with drawings, even if it's drawings of a house or the kitchen or whatever that the residential project has. Create that, shoot it out to the network and get the responses back. All this happened digitally as opposed to calling installers. Hey, are you free next week? Like once an installer is in a company's network, they can actually look at your schedule and see where your openings are and shoot work orders directly to you. So it doesn't matter residential or commercial, really. It's who's generating the work. Now, we have future ideas about how to work with homeowners. So he would be correct if a homeowner wanted to work with somebody in our network, it wouldn't work, right? This is B2B at this point. It's not a B2C or a C2B, meaning a homeowner cannot at this point download the Go Carrera app and schedule an installer. Now, we have some thoughts on how that might work in the future, and I'd love to run that by everybody on here and get your feedback. But we do have a really kind of cool approach to how that could work, to be working directly with the homeowners through Go Carrera, and how that would also benefit, the installers and particularly kind of some of the installers who are aging out, giving them a path forward that is off their knees. So I'll share that here in a bit. But so I think let me do a couple of. I'm going to move my laptop around a little bit, so bear with me.
You gonna get some screen sharing going?
Speaking of that,
I'm gonna do a little screen sharing here.
Sorry, I'm looking at my phone here, guys. But like, who's the OG Go Carrera for us? My mom. This is my insurance guy. He has rental units. He needs floors. Here's his card. I told him you're the best.
I am the best at this. Okay.
Hey, thanks, John, for commenting. So that way, we get some clarification. If people don't ask questions, we don't know what to answer.
Amen.
Yeah, and I need to call you, John.
It's been a minute.
It's been a couple weeks. Need that fix.
Well, let's see here. Okay, so what I'll share is just kind of, I went through this last week, and there's little bit of dummy data in here just for obvious reasons, but let me.
John says, Paul, congratulations on the 20 years. You're old, bro. He didn't say that. I said you're old.
No, whatever. John Steyer said that.
Thanks, John.
Talk about a busy guy. That guy, man, he's Long King. He's an officer. He's a floor guy. Owns a business. That dude's got a lot on his plate too.
Says Jim says, what if I don't know any good installers in that area? Can this get me in contact with proven, trusted installers? And I think that's really the big ticket item here.
Yeah, the biggest part is being able to say publish a work order to any place, and you can kind of see this is a map and shows what we've published out. And obviously there's a lot of work in our core areas you can see some different work orders, but the key is if you go to like let's go to a pending job, if you shoot a work order out, you will get this back as the company, and you can look and see like their verification of what their hammer rating may be in that discipline, a little bit about the installer. We have to constantly stay on top of guys to create their to keep their insurance up to date. But this is a big metric. This particular gentleman has done 331 work orders across the network, and
That's the legend right
152
there.
times he's been given kudos. So even when you're working with if you have a person who responds to your work order that does not match your hammer rating, they may be worth looking at if you consider how many work orders they've done across the network and how many times they've been given kudos. So that's about a 50% kudo rating right there. Another cool thing is, like, just to kind of touch on the map, this on the installer side, now I'm logged in as a company, but this on the installer side would show the ones that are available and matched to that installer. So it just say matched above it, and you can go in and view the details of the project. Now, obviously, some of these are in different states, but I mean, states as far as status within the application. But the important thing for an installer is that, say your job gets pushed 3 or 4 days, they can jump on and be like, hey, here's a $2,000 work order. Let me look at this. Oh, it's 335 yards of carpet, 720 feet of base. I can do that in 3 days, and my job has pushed, but I can knock this one out and then go back to the job that I've been working on.
Now, I see a couple on there with a $0 amount. Would that be like a T&M type thing? You can put one for $0 saying that it's just T&M.
It may be a change order in this case. So that is one that he had to go back and do some work. That was a punch list item. And since he had already been paid for the work, we just wanted to give him the details of the punch list. That's what it looks like. But as the network grows, you can see that this kind of scenario in each major metro is the goal, is to have large amounts of work orders in Dallas and Oklahoma City and all of the major metros. The difficulty, I was going to show you, we had one that I noticed over in Virginia somewhere. Where was that? Oh, it may have been picked up or something. Thought I seen one in Virginia the other day. But the difficulty is that you either have to build out the installer side or the company side, as I've said before. Stop sharing and just kind of talk through this. As we build out the installer network in a given area. We're trying to provide as much value as possible to allow a installer to use Go Carrera outside of actually getting work until we then sign up the companies in that area that can produce work.
Right, because
That can
you gotta
be
start with one or the other, right? It's either get a bunch of installers and then have the companies be like, all right, now it's worth it, or get a bunch of companies and then for the installers to be like, all right, it's worth it. But the thing is, you got to start somewhere, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I kind of think, starting with the installer from the aspect that installers can still utilize it as, like I said, a digital resume showing that, hey, I'm third party verified. Here's my profile. They can click on the QR code. They can whoever you're showing it to see your public profile and know your hammer rating in each one of the multiple disciplines. We're going to continue to make that more robust and make it like I want it to be like a sales page for the installer to sell himself on. I mean, himself or herself on.
What we talked about in Arizona, right? Is that where we talked about it? The ideas that you have, that's like next level stuff that, as an from the installer perspective, I never would have ever imagined that any company would ever want to do that to help out. That's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of good things coming up. Just got to get the traction to justify it all. And
yeah, so what Jose's speaking of is we are kind of trying to gauge, and I'd love if anybody's on here that wants to respond to this, but gauge the idea of turning your profile that's in Go Carrera into a public website and giving you a free website that would be, a 2 to 3 page website that talks, with your gallery and your hammer rating. And if you have done work across Go Carrera, what your kudos and work order completion ratios, but then also have it more robust than just a profile and have it actually be a sales page for an installer. And you just the 2-man crew, a well-trained 2-man crew, you could put a website on your card, and when somebody checks you out, they're going to be looking at like completed projects and this kind of stuff. It's like really kind of cool idea to be able to allow an installer to truly promote themselves and set themselves apart. There's very few installers. If I've done a few surveys that have a website, right? It's your larger labor shops, or it's somebody like you guys who are kind of bridging the gap between part flooring company, part installation house, and going more towards obviously building your flooring company, full service flooring side. So
it's just something great to have. It's when we talked about it, I just looked at you like, are you serious? How come nobody's ever thought of that?
So Eduardo says that it's like a social media for skilled trades. And we've talked about that in the past too, right? Like, how can it be more like a social media thing where it's not on an actual social media site, but it is its own thing, and it's only the guys that are on there.
And well, I tell you what, Eduardo, that would be a fairly easy thing to implement for us, is creating the installer forum, so to speak, that would be just almost exactly like any social media feed that you are, and it would be that you're used to, but it wouldn't be Facebook or Instagram or any of that. It would just only be wrapped within Go Carrera, within Go Carrera installers and companies, and really it could be just the installers on one side and companies on the other, and they both could talk or mesh them all together. But that would be fairly easy to do. It's a matter of, what do you guys think? Do you think having a kind of a social media aspect within Go Carrera?
I think it'd be easier for people to grasp when they're like, all right, I'm going to get on here and talk to the other people that are on there that are, like-minded like me, because he also said, adding classes and trainings to Go Carrera. He's talking about having the flooring distributors do the marketing, but that's all on the flooring distributors. I like that's up to you personally, I think, because like us, we have like the stickers that we have that I made up for the Huddle with the QR codes. We have those in the distributors for people to scan.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a fine line on there, right? Like you can't have any one distributor advocating for one person or a team or one thing like that. They can't do that. They have to be very political about the way they approach a lot of things. They can't just show favorites. Although um, they can buy me tacos, though. I will have some lunch if they want to do that.
But as far as like that one, I would say one page website, right? Because there's plenty of people on there. It's like, what do they call them? A landing page, right? That's essentially all you'd be creating. Hey, this is a landing page. I'm verified by Go Carrera. These are my stats. Here are a few pictures of the work that I've done. That's really all you need. It doesn't even have to get too in depth. And then at the bottom, this is how you contact me or something.
Right. These are
Yeah,
you contact
it's
me. These are
really
the stores
looked
I
at
work
like
for.
a kind of like a sales page.
Right.
And then what we thought was page 2 would mimic your calendar that's in Go Carrera. So
Oh,
that people who see you can see your availability.
He said, "Is there a leaderboard?"
Hey, we've talked about some of those things. I am going to tell you about a game, the game piece that we have partially developed is a trivia game. The trivia game would basically be something about flooring. So you'd pick your discipline, let's say it's resilient, and then you'd go through some questions. And if you get the questions right, you earn moves on this board. And the board is basically a matching board. They call it Mahjong, but it's a really popular game. You're talking like 100 and something million downloads on the app stores. So as you match these tiles, and you complete the games, you earn the moves by answering the questions. So you're getting educated about the flooring installation side of things. The tile side's been built out more like question and answers, because I know one of the questions is, and I think I've said this here before, is, when is it appropriate? When is it? No, it states like this: urethane adhesive matches ANSI 118.3 epoxy specs, except for what conditions, or something like that. And the answer is in extreme heat, so therefore not good for commercial kitchens and things like that. That's where epoxy should be used, or shower floors. Like that's the two spots that they do not recommend using the urethane versus in place of an epoxy, right? It's a pretty simple question and answer, but there's a lot of those. You answer that question correctly, you get 5 moves on the board. And as you complete these puzzles, it's going to display an image on the backside. And that's typically going to be maybe a sponsor of some sort of whether it's, Shernox or Shonox or Mape or somebody sponsoring that portion. But the idea is that as you get the game, you actually earn points that can be redeemed at a Florida Core or a Lowe's or a Home Depot. And so you play to earn, and it's within flooring. The puzzles are just matching puzzles, things. I could give you, show you some details of that, but
and not only that, if you're someone who's already knowledgeable, you're gonna might fly through it, get some extra points. But if you're an individual who is still in the process of learning, just imagine the interest that it's going to spark, right? Like,
Well,
they're going to go and find out
right.
information. And
Google's going to be blowing up.
yeah.
Google got that.
Well,
Let's see if I can show just a mock-up of the. I'm going to show you something kind of that gives you an idea of what there we go.
Paul, I got a quick question for you to fill some of this air. How long?
Yeah, let's do it.
How long do you think will it take on average to sign up one individual, one person, for their own Go Carrera account?
Typically, so I went through the installer flow this morning myself, actually, and it took me probably 20 minutes to get through signing up, and then it's going to take a few days or weeks even for
The verification.
the verification process to happen.
So, say for instance, say we get 5 individuals who want to sign up all at the same time. Go do a podcast, do it live, so that way people can go back and look at it. Would we be able to simultaneously sign them up as long as we're in an open conversation forum, just like this?
Yeah.
Would 5 be a decent number to shoot for? Would it be less? Would it be more? Could it be
As
less?
far as
Could it be more?
as far
efficiency for time.
Well, I think being able to get them signed up is, we can have other people on the call that could just be like blazing on the backside.
Okay.
Like if an installer wanted to get signed up, they can literally get the concierge kind of sign up, and just if they're scared of technology in a way, like the sign up process can happen right there alongside a Go Carrera member. So, I mean, Ben does this all the time, who's, one of our, he's our client, director of client success and acquisition. So he's talking to installers constantly and helping them through some of the tough sides of getting signed on. Typically, where we've seen the problem is when we're wanting experience documentation. Installers don't quite know what to load, and we're just asking for anything that proves the years of experience, an old invoice or a few references or something and we don't even care how good you were back in 2000. We just care that you were actually installing in 2000.
Okay.
Proof of your certifications and that stuff will help shorten the time frame of getting you approved and verified. Otherwise, what we have to do is look on the website, see if you're on there. But we don't stop there, because unfortunately, a lot of the training entities don't keep their websites up to date.
Yeah.
No.
And so we get on there and you're not on there, and then we're like, okay, well, that's not ideal. How can we, so we then call them and ask them straight up, hey, do you have Jose or Daniel? Did they finish this course? And try to get a verbal verification. So it's really dealing with I'm sorry about being distracted. I was trying to find the game mock-up and on the server here, but the real complicated part of it is that we do verify everything. So if you say you're CFI certified R1, R2, C1, C2, and master, well, we're actually going to find out if you are. Same with journeyman installers on the union. We actually had a work order down in the Southeast. I better not say exactly where, but just from protection of this guy's, I don't know that would cause anybody to know, but basically one of the installers claimed that they were a 10-year journeyman installer out of I believe Wisconsin or something, or maybe it was Minnesota. Named the local, and we called the local, and they'd never heard of him. So then come to find out, he worked with a journeyman installer who was there and was verified, and he worked with that journeyman installer for 10 years. So he figured he could claim that he was. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
He wasn't an actual journeyman
He
installer
was trying to use the
himself, but the guy,
pass through, right? He was trying to have the pass or that gentleman's experience pass through him as his own. Okay, I got
yeah.
it. You know what's
So
crazy is he probably didn't even have to lie about that. All he had to do was say, "Hey, I got this many years experience. This is the gentleman I worked with, and this is who trained me." Like,
yeah, and it may not, because there's no way for us to verify how good the guy was that trained you, unless
right.
that guy's already on Go Carrera, right? And it's also hard to tell from just because you work with a great installer doesn't mean that great installer is a great trainer. I think we've all probably been with a mechanic or a journeyman installer that didn't teach us very much because it was always just like, at least that was my first experience.
You know what?
Uh,
I think everybody's guilty of that at some point, right? Like, you might be good at training, you're not going to be great at it all the time.
Eduardo says it's good to get dishonesty vetted out. He said that he's got 47 years of experience. How old are you, Eduardo? Like 30, 27, something like that? He's like 20 something?
I mean, he looks a lot older than he is.
that's hilarious.
That is
So
hilarious.
yeah, I mean, the idea is obviously to try and like clean up the um the option. Like I think for all of us, it's just about, oh, check this out. So here's an idea. Now, full disclosure, this is kind of like a
This is prototype type stuff.
yeah, but this is, can you see this?
Yep.
So we've called it different things, but we proposed this to a few manufacturers to see if they wanted to kind of support the gaming, and we've had some hits. And don't pay attention to, we are not partnered with anybody at this moment. These are just people we presented to. But here's the idea: is that you can kind of see, the question and answer, and then most of the tile stuff would be brought to you by the NTCA, and then the installer's correct answers earns moves on the game board. So then you're matching these two tile snappers here, and then the game board reveals products and or promotions or discounts to the installer. And then at the end of the day, sponsorship opportunities and trying to help get the knowledge passed down in a fun and kind of novel way. That's our gaming idea.
Yeah.
I probably need to run a survey, and but it'd be interesting if anybody's watching this on YouTube or whatever. I mean, comment and tell me, would you like to have a game that you earn not only points on that can be redeemable at a retailer? I will make that happen if we have the traction. I guarantee I can go to just about any retailer and say, hey, our network of several thousand installers would like to start redeeming some points at your place. That's kind of an easy ask on that side. But would you enjoy learning in that way? And then also you get the points, but you also can earn hammer rating. With a certain amount of points, it'll bump your hammer rating up. Now, it's not going to be like you went to a certified class and used your hands, but just bump it up a little
You're putting
bit.
in some
Well,
work.
it's a continuing education unit, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
everyone
Correct.
has to do them,
Yeah,
except for
Yep.
the flooring guys. We don't have to do them.
Right.
Well, this could fulfill that kind of continued education side. A lot of the manufacturers who have shown interest are really interested in, like, okay, this is how we can launch new products and get the installer base very quickly, and the entire installer base, not just the few that come to Tice or the 100 or so or 200 that go to CFI, but how much more efficient is it for them to get you trained on how to utilize their products? because we can embed videos and stuff like that as well. So it was kind of a cool idea. We haven't taken it all the way to finishing. We've mocked it up and we've gotten the framework done, but we don't have what's needed,
Kind of want
which
to play
is
it already.
an anchor sponsor, which would be like a Mohawk or something like that, to anchor the that application, because it's very expensive to build that game out. But what's your guys' thoughts? Would you actually play that thing?
So
Yeah.
yeah, I would play that. And you know what's I was looking at the mock-up there, and I almost wonder, like, it looked, I couldn't really see it because it's small on the screen, but I wonder if you could almost use, instead of just one big picture, maybe the tiles are separated into section A and section B for tools for specific disciplines too, right? It'll help people learn the tools a little bit more. And
Yeah, so the tiles are typically going to be tools or something of that nature that fit the discipline that you've signed in as.
okay,
So what you'll get to pick which discipline you're playing.
we'll see.
So
Look
if
at
you're
that.
a tile guy, you're going to play the tile kind of thing, because it's hard to expect a carpet guy to know what's the proper grout
Yeah.
joint size.
Right, but at the same time, if you're wanting to learn that, you have the option, right?
Yes, absolutely. You don't have to have a hammer rating in that discipline. You can go through and play the game and get pretty freaking proficient from a mind standpoint
Right.
on how to install tile.
And Eduardo says, what kind of music plays, and is there psychology behind the reward sounds you are using?
Yes.
Use the sonic coin when he gets the coin.
Bing, bing. So that way
it's a soothing sound with a bing.
You know what?
Just like
we're gonna be
I
programming
was
you.
thinking Mario. Here's showing my age instead of Sonic. I was thinking like Mario Brothers, right?
Dude,
Bing,
we
bing,
just
bing,
seen that
bing.
movie, man. That movie 2 weeks ago. That movie's awesome. But Eduardo's right. Like sounds do kind of program you, right? Like you hear a certain sound every time, and then you get a reward. It's gonna make you happy every time you hear it. So that's not a bad angle there.
Yeah, I would imagine that it,
Scraping. Scraping
it
the
coming with some, audio visual rewards, right? I mean, that's just how we are as humans, like a congratulations, that kind of stuff that happens on whatever your Candy Crushes of the world. So anyway, what we're trying to do is at the end of the day to bring kind of, I know this wasn't, what I'm trying to get across is a concept. I know you guys are the same way. Like the idea is that we band together as installers, we create our profiles, and it costs you absolutely nothing to start a profile, take
Right.
advantage of the discounts. And then if we did add the social media part in, even communicating. Now I do have a question. If it was a social media side to it, anybody gets in, but then how long, you could see, you've been part of forums before, especially on Facebook, you know how toxic they can become very quickly. But once you've gotten into Go Carrera, there's a real community there. I think that any installer on Go Carrera that does any, that believes in it can have a great conversation with another guy. But you get somebody coming in, if that was a funnel to get them, like anybody could join, you didn't have to be a Go Carrera member or a Go Carrera installer to be on the social side. Would you think there's a time frame that they either sign up or get off?
I would say.
But I would be worried about is too many just people trying to start shit. You know
Well,
how it
if you're
happens
not a
on the
Go Carrera
on the
member, I can see that you'd have access to log in, but you might be ghosted. You don't have access to comment on anything or to like anything. You can just read through what's going on.
Right. In order to comment, you must sign up.
Yeah, I mean, you got to become a member. So I mean,
that's a pretty awesome idea right there, guys.
that's what
Yeah.
we're here for, bro.
Just
right?
yeah, I because then all the Go Carrera members could share best practices on, with any software. There's tricks and ways to use it more efficiently than, if you've ever used QuickBooks, there's little ways around things, or any even your social media sites. There's little tricks to promote yourself better and all this stuff.
there's
Go Carrera members sharing best practices with one another on how to actually take your career forward and not have it a whole crybaby session, which I've seen, or a dogging session. I've seen guys just test out how the other people on a particular group would react, and they post some crappy install and then get attacked, and they're like, I knew this would happen. This is not even my work. I was just seeing what you guys would say.
Well, that's
I've
people
done
fishing.
that. I've done that.
Daniel's saying the funniest one to me was he's taking a picture of the backside of an awl and said, "Hey, can I use this to stretch in the room? Because it looks like the backside of a stinger." And it's
Yeah.
like, that was the funniest one to me. But people fishing for stuff like that, right? Like if you get bored and you're doing that, you're bored. Maybe you need a site like Go Carrera to find some additional work to keep your mind occupied.
Maybe a game that can teach you
maybe a
some
tile
stuff.
game, yeah.
And then as far as like you were talking about vetting and stuff, and we're talking about social media, was there a spot on there? Because we signed up a while ago, I don't remember, to put your actual like business social medias and stuff in there.
No, that's kind of the idea with the website, is that you'd be able to link all your social media sites off of that. So you'd have all the information that's in Go Carrera about you, and you'd have a website that mimics that, but plus you can add your social media, you can add some videos about yourself, and you can make it more robust. I can tell you one thing, we don't do much at Go Carrera that's not like top of the line from a technology standpoint. The websites would be freaking awesome.
I was just talking about, you were talking about, verifying and stuff like that. What if they had a business page that's been out for 10 years?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that works. But I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. Absolutely,
if they have right next to them.
if they have a social platform that is, obviously they're time stamped, and we can go back and see that they have business activity back when they claim to be installing, that does work for your 55, 60-year-old guy. It doesn't always work because social media has not been around long enough to grasp all their years of experience. But we've had guys just send in literally old invoices. That paid invoices. We've had guys give reference to stores, like actual stores that they worked for back in the day, that we've called and verified. Yeah, he worked here back in 1992. Just that's it. Like, we don't care if we're not trying to check and see how good you were back then either. That's kind of a misconception. The whole idea is just to try to qualify the years that you said you've worked, because we all know the guys that say they've been doing it for 20 years, and the truth is they haven't. That transparency is where we can have more trust across the interaction. That's what I'm trying to think of. More trust across the interaction equals to better paying situations. More transparency allows for a two-hammer guy to be doing a two-hammer job and not competing with somebody who's been doing it for 6 months, right? Those are the tricks that Go Carrera brings in. Like, I'd love to hear from the network, but like, one of the things that I've heard why guys don't get certified is, the first one was they don't know about it. Like, they don't know where to go get the training. I don't think our industry does a great job at promoting themselves from a training aspect. Because when you do it on social media, you're typically followed by other flooring guys. So we think everybody sees these things that are on your Facebook feed, but it's because we interact with everything that is flooring that we see all that stuff. That's the truth. Like, they're not attracting new people who need the training, because those people, they're not meeting them where they're at. But so a lot of this is, using everything we have to try to get the installer vetted on the network, and then banding together to increase pay by separating yourself from other hammer rated people. It becomes a competition like a professional sport. You know, the Giants, no matter how terrible they are not going to go play a high school football team, right?
Right. You're,
Or the Jaguars when they were, 2-14, there was talk about them playing the Alabama that year was undefeated, and they were like, who would win? But that will never happen. Like, you're only competing with, other NFL guys, so to speak. And that's what Go Carrera creates, is you're competing with other quality guys, because the work orders are generated with a hammer rating filter.
so it
So
keeps the installers within their comfort zone, their parameters, their skill set, and it also helps the flooring stores or anyone else who is putting the work out there with getting the right guy for the installation. I mean, that's
Or helping the ones
it's a
that are down here want to
right.
elevate up there. Like,
Yeah,
man, this is where I want to be.
right. Like, how much work do you have? What do you get paid? Oh, really? How do I get to that point? And that's where these training entities don't do a very good job of promoting it, right? They're promoting what they have to offer the installer. They're not promoting what information the installer will have to offer their clients after they're done. They're not
Yeah, there's
promoting
no
that.
throughput
Yeah,
to using that training to market yourself or separate yourself,
Because we've
right?
seen it firsthand where, guys call us, hey, what do you charge for this? And then we tell them what we charge. Do they get that? I don't know, because, there a lot of everyone else
The
is very
question is,
hush hush
should they
about
get
everything.
that?
Right. And
yes,
then you see some of these jobs that they produce and they're like, I hope they're not getting that, because if they're getting the same thing that I'm charging and this is what's going on, that's not cool either.
right. And some people they charge a lot more than what we do too, with a lot less training or I would say credentials, not training. I would say they probably have a lot of experience, but it's because they've earned it. They've been around long enough, and they've been with the right group of people to earn that. And hey, kudos to them, but not everybody is that fortunate.
Well, I always tell guys, like, we had a guy up in Kansas City is like, I have one old certification, but other than that, I'm self-taught, and I worked with my uncle, and I will admit he's a very good sheet vinyl installer. I mean, he is. I've seen his work. We've worked him. Why would I want to be on here? There's no reason. I was like, well, okay, well, are you as good as you say you are? And he's like, well, yeah. I was like, well, no one else knows. I mean, just you. It's
Just
like you in
yeah.
that one store. But what if that store goes under? What if that store decides to close down, which is going to be a pandemic here in the next 10 years? There's a lot of older store owners that are simply don't have exit plans or secession plans. So what if the store you're working for, the commercial contractor you're working for, sells, or the company or the area gets unionized, and now it's only union installers employee? That's fine too. But you as a sub working for that place, I'm just saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I mean, that's a common that's a business 101 teaching. Go Carrera allows you to not put all your eggs in one basket. It allows you to work with any company that's on the network, and we're going to grow that very quickly this year. We've already got 3 companies on the backlog, and it's just a matter of kind of finishing up with those guys. But what do companies want to see? They want to see some installer density in the areas they're
Yeah.
working.
And,
So
and,
we're
that's
kind
why
of
it's
always
hard.
teeter-tottering back and forth.
And you know what? You said
But
that you wanted to make a trip up here to Michigan to come and hang out, and I think that once the weather actually warms up, because it was snowing this morning. Let me tell you how upset I was this morning. Um, Once the weather breaks and you do make that trip, maybe we should plan ahead and try to get some traction and get some installers and get a group together. So
let's
that
have a
way,
party up there. I mean, I'll throw a party and let's just talk about it. And I
that,
don't mean like, but I'm just mean like getting together, some food, maybe some drink, and have a conversation
that
with
sounds
as many
great.
installers as possible. And what I really like the most is when is installers to conversate with me and tell me why it sucks in their head, because they'll have this image in their head that this is stupid. I've literally been told that by installers. I've never had industry people or professional companies or any good installer ever tell me that, but I have had the guys that are fearful to have their real to be transparent about their skills and transparent about their years of experience. That's that they're I certainly understand why some installers are so reluctant to it, but I encourage conversation. I encourage, like, tell me what you think could be better. What could make it even better for installers? Look at it this way. Here's another thing. Look at it as a digital resume, and then think of it like you own Go Carrera, and you have a development team that is willing to do some things to make it more valuable to you. You just have to voice what that is.
Yeah.
What do you think would make it more worthwhile and valuable to you?
Right,
Share that
your
with
life
us.
easier.
And that's really what it's about.
Yeah, tell us what your challenges are. Like, I know that when we first started building Go Carrera, one of the big challenges, one of the big hard things is a lot of companies, and this has changed a little bit, but a lot of companies, us included at the time, you had to come to our office, sign a lien release, then you get a check, and then you go to your bank and deposit the check, or go to my bank and cash a check, and then you pay your guys. And you had to take off early because we paid on Mondays at that point. A side note, we had to do that because if we paid on Fridays, we'd have too many people not show up over the weekend on weekend work. So we had to start paying on Mondays. But anyway, we pay on Mondays means you're going to have to leave the job site at 3:00, come to our office, sign a lien release, gauge check, get to the bank before 5. That's all done seamlessly,
Beep, beep, beep.
like
I remember when you
digitally.
showed me
You
that.
never have to.
You
You never
showed me,
have to
look,
leave the
watch
job site.
this. Approved, paid. I was like, you just paid him that quick? Yep, done. It's like,
Yep.
no kidding. And
I've done it on airplanes, like literally paid for the Wi-Fi to be able to pay while I'm 30,000 feet in the air. So it allows companies to also go and installers to have good interaction. Like one of the things we've really started doing at the flooring company is going, when we go out to job sites, taking pictures of the things that we need fixed, throwing them in the chat, which is attached to that work order, and then letting the installer know, hey, finish these items and you can bill me complete, and then we've also, the installers have used it a lot to take video and throw that in the chat, or which is a little grainy, honestly, but pictures come out perfect. And taking pictures of, hey, this substrate, I'm going to need 20 bags of floor prep. They throw that in the chat, shows all the job site conditions, and then send us a change order for, doing the 20 bags of self-leveler. That's approved. Thank you. So it really just is a real job site communication
Right, and it helps you
tool.
out too, because it's showing you got something to show whoever you're working for too, whoever you have the contract with. This is what was done. This is proof. Because there's, like, we've dealt with it where they say that a lot of people don't document stuff, so it's like,
we were guilty of that early on, but like once you get burned a couple times, you start tracking everything. And this platform right here, it's a requirement, right? Like track your projects. Take a picture.
So I'm going to tell you about the we're out of time, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we're going to we're on the final stages of starting this, a video conferencing within Go Carrera. It's going to be called Link, I believe. And so, say, for example, I shot you guys a work order and you're in Michigan, you're doing an AutoZone up there for me. Just example. You run into a problem, you click the link button, and it automatically launches to my phone. And we are on a video conference, similar to what we're doing right here.
Yeah.
Except the camera always starts facing out on the installer side, and so you can show your project manager, whoever you're working for, the job site condition. The cool part comes is we can make notations on the right there on the screen, and each other see them. So say you're like pointing at something and you take an arrow, you draw an arrow on the screen. I see that. So as you show me something, I might be like, hey, look at this right here. And I circle it and you see it on your screen on the video. It's super cool. I can't even explain to you how cool it is.
And then is that
But
recorded and then saved?
so here's the awesome side. The chat is going to be embedded in there as well. So you can also chat between us. So you can be like, did you, so you can, so for example, you're showing me something that a wall's completely out of whack or whatever, and you're going to have to fix it. You're showing me, you put it on the screen and you just write with your finger, you're like half-inch low on the substrate, right? And then that picture gets saved. And each time everything is documented. Our chat around that is documented. And it comes at the end of that call, that video call, a report is generated and put in the file that's attached to that work order. And man, if I showed you this, you would be like,
My head
literally
would explode right now.
You'd be blown away at how crisp and clean you just the report is so good. It logs, it records all the video, every picture you took, every chat. Say for example, you're out on a job site and we need the superintendent to join. You just boom. And he doesn't even have to be a member of Go Carrera, and he can join that same video call. And you can be like, hey, James, the substrate is completely messed up. I know you're on lunch and you're an hour away or whatever, but can you give us approval to self-level this or whatever the scenario is? Obviously, a lot of superintendents can't do that, but a lot can and have the power to, give you the approval to move forward. But there's so many times that I've ran out to job sites because what my installer is trying to explain to me over the phone, I cannot understand. Like they speak English and I do too, but I can't understand what they're trying to tell me.
Terminology, sometimes there's just a disconnect, right? Like if you came on one of our jobs, we wouldn't say trash can, we would say tank, because somebody gave it that name a long time ago and we thought it was hilarious and it just stuck. We've said it so many times, making fun of them that it stuck, but that's what you're talking about too. Now, is there a way to have in that app like that to where there's like a translate version, or like if someone is not bilingual, say we have someone who predominantly speaks Spanish and they're more comfortable explaining it in Spanish, is there a way for that, or am I throwing a curveball into this conversation?
No, we're working on native translation. So the idea with native translation is you could type in English, but it come across to them in Spanish if that's what they've selected.
Awesome.
And then when they can type in Spanish and it comes across to you in English.
There you go. Look at that. 10 steps ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's on the backlog. I mean, a lot of our Hispanic crews have requested it. It's a bit difficult, more difficult than you would think. It's not just like taking an English word and throwing it in Google and getting a response. It's like trying to make it more native and real-time translation. So you don't get it in English and then have to translate it into Spanish. It just comes over in Spanish, even if you typed it in English.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we're working on that. I think we'll have that done here. I mean, we'll definitely have it done this year, but
that sounds like
well, guys, I have kept you nearly 15 minutes over. Once again, we get going on this stuff and
close it out with Eduardo says hammer rating leaderboard with monthly drawings.
He's got a lot of ideas, man.
Yeah,
so I like it.
I talked to him the other week, and yeah, he's got some ideas. Our
I
conversation
like the
always lasts a while.
hammer rating leaderboard. I think that's what made me start thinking of the game is we were going to have a leaderboard on the game, like how many points you've earned, and publish that all the time, like have it real time. So as guys are earning more points, and then put their hammer rating right next to it or something. But a hammer rating leaderboard would be, it'd be fun if it was in region.
There you
Otherwise,
go.
the leaderboard's going to be like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
but by region. And what do you say with rewards or something?
Yeah, with monthly drawings monthly drawings for the top 50 installers, something like a mixer. That way, like if you're one of the top 50, you can join in a mixer monthly, and then I don't know, maybe there's some things where you can have
Credit towards training in your discipline. Credit towards some tools. You know, there's a lot you can do.
Sorry,
with
I'm
that.
taking notes on this because this is the truth of it, guys, is I listen and I like the leaderboard with a monthly drawing, and then have the social attachment.
That idea right there can evolve into so much more than just that as well, right? It can push individuals further than they thought that they could ever be pushed by their peers. And that's really what it's about, is helping each other build on top of the foundation we already have. Because everyone is a lot closer than you think.
It really could put a cool dynamic together if you think about it, where if your hammer rating for each one of your disciplines was part of your profile on the social site, right? Your picture and your hammer ratings right next to you. The lower hammer rated guys would know exactly who to go to be like, dude, how'd you get 4.5 hammers?
Look,
like, I've never seen somebody.
He's over here putting stuff together already.
I love Eduardo,
He
man.
couldn't even put me first. Like, what?
You didn't earn it, bro.
Man.
Oh man, if people are not joining this thing, you are missing out on some fun. I'm telling you what, Eduardo coming in like that.
Hey, hold on, no. But he's got number one is Juan. Like, come on, bro. Number Juan.
Number one. That was intentional. Okay, I got some work to do. I'm gonna report
back. I gotta get out of here too. I got my son's got baseball practice in 10 minutes.
I'm gonna report back to you on what we can do on leaderboard and the social side. We already did have a social aspect that but not quite in this idea. And the idea of having the members able to comment and work back and forth, but non-members, you can read up and talk or read up, but you just can't comment. You can't come in and add poison to a great conversation.
Right. And it's only like a trial thing too, right? You only got 7 days. You can go on there and see, because then that way that people that are just trying to spy on there, like if there's
give it an
some of the stores or something that keep on going on there, they're going to have to create something every few days or something that'll just stop them from doing that.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, because it would be driven by Go Carrera, everybody on there is who they say they are. It's not somebody, like on these other social sites, you cannot be who you say you are. You're going to be who you say you are on this, right? And there's accountability to talking shit.
Yeah. Then
you know what I mean?
Like Facebook, and then go talk crap on your Facebook too.
There you go. The people who log on as guests have to use one of their other social medias as their temporary ID, so that way they can be traced and tracked. That way you don't have to follow.
Yeah, just a lot of those other socials
are fake too.
They're not who they really say they are on there either, especially your Instagrams and Twitters. But Facebook's more authentic. But
just food for thought.
Yeah, I'm logging that. All right, gentlemen. Hey, thanks for hanging with me a little extra here. It was a fun time, and yeah, we'll keep talking.
We still only scratched the surface, though. That's the whole
I know
thing.
it's hard to get through everything. All right, guys. Well, we will see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat place. Thank you so much. And Eduardo, thanks for, I guess, I don't know, man. I didn't even see my name on the leaderboard, but thank you for that great idea.
All right. See you.
All right. See you guys.